Hi, welcome back. Okay, so I thought this video would be about kind of a summary of our summer vacation. And before I start, I thought that perhaps it would be good to show you the materials that I thought I would need and what I ended up using. Before leaving, what I did is I prepared a set of watercolor, a small, I thought it was a compact kit. So I filled up all my colors, and I thought that would be it. So I used it once in Saint-Jean-Port-Joli, but it was not a big success, let me tell you, and I'll explain later. So I did that, and then I prepared some gouache paint. I thought 2 little palettes, that would be good. So I did that. And so I filled them up, and I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to use. But, and what I also brought with me were watercolor pencils, my Prismacolor watercolor pencils, and crayons, pencils. These are Derwent color pencils, along with a few tools like my Tombow N45, 95, and 55. So different grades of different shades of gray, and then black pen. So I thought I would use all that stuff, and I brought, just in case, I brought this pencil case with all kinds of supplies that you never know you might need. And so, because when you go out and do some nature sketching, or you're outdoors painting, you never know what you'll need. I also brought with me a sketchbook that I decided to write our day-by-day event, what's going on. So I call this Summer 2025, Summer Vacation. And I brought with me my sketchbook. When we were in Magog, we went for a walk after dinner, and there was a lovely park not too far from the B&B, and there's a lot of, in Magog, there's a lot of boats, and I mean, very impressive, okay? So there's kind of an area where the boats go between the street and the park. So I sat in the park, and I thought, okay, what could I do? And I felt a little bit out of my element. I thought, well, I'm in a park right now, so there are trees in front of me. I did this sketch, and it's nothing much, but it was good to just, get back in the mode of doing some art outside. That was kind of fun. And then the following day, we went to Saint-Jean-Port-Joli. And Saint-Jean-Port-Joli, there's a lookout. It's about a kilometer away from our B&B, and it's a lookout of the St. Lawrence rivers. And I just loved the sound of the waves, the wind, the birds, the seashore birds, the seagulls. The wind was strong and all that, but I thought, okay, I'll give it a try, and I'll do a sketch, a watercolor sketch. The minute I opened up my sketchbook, the wind blew things away. The paint on my Reservoir paintbrush dried almost instantly, so I was constantly fighting against the wind and the paper and everything. Anyways, I ended up doing that. That's the only time I used my watercolors. I realized quickly that what I brought, which I thought was minimal, really minimal, what I brought was too much already. So out with the gouache and out with the watercolor. All these here I didn't use. So that went back into here, and I ended up using nothing out of this. Nothing here. So I ended up using my watercolor pencils, and I would write down the information with my Micron, a pen, and these brushes. So I did that on the side of the road, and with my pencils and paintbrush, and I had a really fun time doing that. I will sometimes draw before I paint, and sometimes I often paint without drawing or anything. I had to just look at shapes and try to imagine what it would look like after I added my water. It's a fun mental exercise, really interesting to see what I would come up with. It actually turned out very interesting. It's not messy, it's very practical, and it's experimental. Another thing that I did with the pencils is we were in Bukdush. There's a place called the Dune of Bukdush, Irving Eco Center, and it's a beautiful beach, and there were women doing a yoga session on the beach and all that, so I eliminated them. I eliminated most of what was man-made or human, and I just did that. And that was a really fun moment. And I was starting just to do the sky. The lady came and we started talking, and that's what it is when you go outside and you bring your art supplies, you attract attention, and you know, that was fun. I have to tell you, when we got at Lynn Miscou, it was a very magical moment. When we arrived, the sky and the water only made one. There was no horizon, and it was just luminosity all around us. You could hear the waves, but you couldn't see. It was just a bright light. It was unbelievable. You just feel part of it. You feel small, and you feel in awe. It didn't last that long. I loved every second of it. And then after that, it started to open up, and I did this at the lighthouse. Was trying to hide from the sun. It was so bright. And at the lighthouse, there's picnic tables. So I stood next to the one that was near the lighthouse, and I did this again with my pencils and my paintbrush. It made me feel a bit more comfortable working in public. I like to go outside in our backyard, or at L'Île Pétrie, or in our front yard. I set my stuff, and it's okay, but I'm in my little bubble. Being on vacation and having people around you and you take out your stuff was a very interesting experience, but also it made me feel, it gave me confidence in the fact that people like that. I mean, they're attracted by it, and then it, you end up talking about all kinds of things with people, with strangers, and it's lovely. It really is. I mean, we went through so many places. Each village looks prosper, healthy. There's a vibrancy going on. Every place you have little art galleries, or workshops, or coffee shops, handmade products. It's so much fun. So there's a nice vibe in every village. When we were in Caraquet, the dock, it's beautiful. There's restaurants, places for ice cream. There's a lovely place, I believe it's called Le Quai des Artistes. So I supported a few artists. And there's the boardwalks, and it's just a beautiful place. The marina is unbelievable. There's happy people, just enjoying life and going to restaurants and having a beer or a glass of wine and laughing. I was amazed by that. I felt good. When we were in New Brunswick, like I wanted to go see La Sagouine, and in Bouctouche you have, it's signs everywhere. We are au pays de la Sagouine. I love it, okay? It's the Acadians, and it's the language, it's the culture, it's the history of the Acadians. It felt good to hear them talk, the songs, and I mean, it's just amazing. It's moving, it's refreshing. I felt the happiest was when we were in restaurants or walking around and hearing the locals speak to one another. That brought me back to hearing my grandmother and my great-grandmother talking. That brought me almost to tears because I felt the connection. I fell back in love with my native province, New Brunswick. I felt connected. It gave me back what I needed, the peace, a certain serenity. Now I'm fired up to start painting again. I am eager, and I'm ready now to do other things. All I want to do, paint and write and enjoy the time and stop worrying so much. Just relax, breathe, and enjoy life. If there's one thing that I learned from that trip, that's it. Find your happiness again. Find your light, your what makes you feel good inside, and share it. And that's And we are at le Musée des Beaux-Arts de Sherbrooke. Beautiful building. Look at that. Very impressive and worth going to visit. This is Sunday morning. It's about 8:30, and this is the view this morning. The air has changed. The water is really dark. So we're going down that path over there. Okay.
Been carved out by a glacier during the last ice age.
Okay.
So the lines you're seeing on that rock face over there, those aren't layer lines. Those lines would have been produced by glacial abrasion. Essentially, when the glacier was coming through, clearing out all the rock that would have been in the gorge, it was scraping against that rock face there. So those are giant scratch marks, and all of the rock you're seeing there is the same age, 500 million years old.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
May I ask where you're visiting from?
We're from Ottawa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah?
So do you know why the Bay of Fundy has the highest tides in the world?
Nope.
So the Bay of Fundy has the highest tides in the world through a combination of two factors, both pertaining to the shape of the bay.
Okay.
The first is that the bay is V-shaped, so as the water comes in, it's forced into a narrower area, has to go up. That's why the tide gets higher as you make your way that way down the bay.
Okay.
The second, and the one that's really special to the Bay of Fundy, is the Bay of Fundy is the right length for a resonance frequency.
Okay.
So the tide can be thought of as a giant wave. It comes in, it hits the shore, but then it still has a lot of kinetic energy remaining. So there's a reflecting wave that bounces back heading out to sea. Now, due to the length of the bay, that reflecting wave will line up peak to peak and trough to trough with the incoming wave of the new tide. And when waves collide like that, you get what's called constructive interference, which means the peaks get higher and the troughs get deeper. So it's that compounding effect, the constant constructive interference that gives the Bay of Fundy the highest tides in the world. So several of the trees in the, like, growing up on the sides of the cliff face here are actually going to be old growth.
Okay.
Because they're one of the few places where they wouldn't have been logged because it's simply impractical and far too dangerous for anyone to log in that area. So, but due to the unfortunate nature of growing on the side of the cliff, that really stunts the tree's growth. So they're several hundred years old, but
they're small.
still very small.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Right. And what's your name?
My name's Kalen.
Kalen, thank you, Kalen. So, obviously, low tide. And okay, so we're on the boardwalk, and this is the view. Just beautiful. At the Hopewell Rocks Visitor Center. To us, this is all new. We were here years ago, and nothing like that existed.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to bringing you along with me in my garden, in my backyard, in the front yard, everywhere we'll go. I'm ready to paint and bring out the joy that I feel right now, the life, the light, and the happiness. And I will see you in 2 weeks, hopefully with something new on canvas or paper. Until then, take care of yourselves and enjoy the rest of the summer. Bye-bye.